Welcome back to the Final 24 Hours channel, the channel that takes you deep inside the last day on Earth of the world's most famous and infamous figures. We uncover what really happened in their final 24 hours alive. Today's video will be the final 24 hours in the life of John F. Kennedy Jr., July 16, 1999. The son of America's most famous family, John F. Kennedy Jr. is preparing for a weekend trip to the world. He's the embodiment of American royalty, charming, ambitious, the very image of his father. Over the next 24 hours, a routine flight would turn into tragedy, and another Kennedy life would end far too soon. This is the final 24 hours in the life of John F. Kennedy Jr. It's Friday morning in New York. John F. Kennedy Jr. wakes up in his Tribeca apartment. He's 38 years old, publisher of the political magazine George, rising star in media, and one of America's most photographed men. He and his wife, Caroline, had been going through a rough patch. The pressures of fame and work had taken a toll. But this weekend was supposed to bring peace. They were flying to Hyannisport, Massachusetts, for the wedding of his cousin, Rory Kennedy. It was a chance to reconnect, to relax, and to be with family. That evening, John arrived at the Essex County Airport around 7:30 p.m. He was an experienced pilot with about 300 hours of flight time, but he had only recently recovered from a broken ankle, and this would be his first night flight since the injury. Joining him on the flight were his wife, Caroline, and his sister, Lauren Bassett. Their plan: fly to Martha's Vineyard to drop Lauren off, then continue on to Hyannisport. The weather was clear but hazy, visibility over the ocean was poor, and John would be flying over open water, at night, without a visible horizon. At first, everything seemed normal. The plane climbed to 5,500 feet and maintained a steady course. But as they neared Martha's Vineyard, something changed. Controllers at the FAA noticed the plane's altitude began to fluctuate: minus 5,500 feet, then 2,200, then climbing again, a telltale sign of spatial disorientation. Pilots call it the black hole effect. Over open water at night, without visual cues, even experienced pilots can lose their sense of up and down. At 9:40 p.m., the plane disappeared from radar just 7.5 miles off the coast of Martha's Vineyard. When the plane failed to arrive, family members began calling authorities. By midnight, the Coast Guard had launched a full-scale search. Dozens of ships, planes, and divers combed the waters through the night. For days, America watched and waited, hoping for a miracle that never came. On July 19, 1999, 3 days after the crash, search teams found the wreckage 120 feet below the surface. Inside the cockpit were the remains of John F. Kennedy Jr., Caroline, and Lauren. It was the end of a chapter in America's most storied and most tragic family. John F. Kennedy Jr. had spent his entire life in the public eye, born into hope, raised in tragedy, and determined to define his own path. In his last 24 hours, he wasn't a symbol or a myth. He was a husband, a brother, a friend, just trying to make it to a family wedding. His story, like his father's, ended too soon. But his spirit remains a reminder that even in loss, the legacy of the Kennedys continues to inspire. John F. Kennedy Jr., 1960 to 1999. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you'll be instantly notified of new videos. See you on the next one.